Great, wonderful. Good evening, everyone, to this initiative, Saturdays for Sustainability Learning. And we are connecting here as a group to discuss sustainability topic. And the goal is very simple. We are not here to debate and just theoretically discuss, but it's just a better understanding, a holistic understanding of the concept. And this is supposed to be a mastermind group. So we all are a member of this group as a mastermind group. So these are some of the goals or some of the guiding principles for all of us. So this group should help each other, peer-to-peer mentoring, helping each other to solve the problems and input and advice from each other. And if you have joined, so I understand 60 minutes of time is valuable for all of us. It's the most valuable commodity that we have. So we can use it. What gain you will get from this 60 minutes is learning new concept or new aspect of a concept, networking with fellow professionals, learning new opportunities, and definitely a thought leadership. And I feel that everyone can contribute towards it. And two important foundations of this discussion forum, if you ask me. So first is DIKW pyramid, that is data, information, knowledge, wisdom. In today's time, I feel we have more data and information than knowledge and wisdom, where we are lacking. So how do we build that? And that can be only done with the experience and a collective experience of all of us synergizing and helping each other. That's the best way. And second way is for learning is the discussion, that is question and answer. That is the best way of learning. So this is a reminder and also a request to everyone, if you have anything to add, please do so. So this is not just a one way or expert session. It's always a discussion and synergistic discussion. So please feel free to add your experience, your thoughts, your inputs, and that's how we can make it more valuable. All right. So if you have joined this session, so I hope you have already registered. Just one time registration is necessary so that you will get the calendar invite. And I feel that getting calendar invite is important for our sustainability to joining this. Okay. So you might have joined the WhatsApp group, and if not, please register through it and connect with me for that. All right, so I'll start directly with today's topic, which was incidentally, this is the first time or the second time we are discussing the same topic for 2 weeks. And last week we discussed IWA 48 2024, which is a new ISO framework for implementing environmental, social, and governance principles. And we read couple of pages last week and we had a discussion. So we will start the discussion, and I will also request everyone, if you have read or if you want to add something from this, please do so. But before that, there is one interesting comment I would like to show you, and I would like to start with that question. And let's have a voice of everyone. What do you think? As you know, so every week I also put quiz on the YouTube community. Okay, so this was the question, and as this was the topic of our Saturday session, so that's why I kept the same for quiz as well. So for this quiz, as all of us already know that IWA 48 is for to provide a framework for implementing ESG principles. So that's fine, but one comment I got over here, which I think we can discuss. So this is one comment. ISO standards on paper sizes, engineering components, etc. all make common sense, but this example is total job creation by pen pushers who have no other reason to exist. So it reminds me of quality control standards generally ignored in large governmental organizations that take up a huge resources paying people to do pointless box ticking jobs. So one question for all of us here to discuss is, because as we understand IWA 48 is an important thing, as it's coming from ISO, we understand the importance of ESG as well, sustainability as well. So what are your views on getting this just a job creation or just a hype and just a box ticking activity? How to avoid that, and what are your thoughts on this? So one question for all of you. What do you think?
Dhananjay, this comment is exclusively related to that ISO standard, right? Not for the ESG aspect, right?
No, not for ESG, but this person, whoever has commented, So they
Yeah.
are saying that ISO standards are not that useful. So that is the perception. So the question
Okay.
is, for this ESG, let's say implementation of the ESG principle,
Uh-huh.
uh, there is a chance like this ISO standard also might be used in a, let's say, a good sense and proper way, or there is also a chance, risk and opportunity, as we were
Correct.
talking. So how how
Correct. Okay.
how to avoid it getting into risk and getting maximum harnessing this opportunity. So
Mm-hmm.
what are your thoughts on this?
Mm-hmm. I think it is not a useless product. It is it will give you proper guidance. I think I am not having previous experience with the ISO standards. I just gone through it. They have given a good framework of all the aspects of ESG. And last time I could not complete, but when I gone through that the KPI aspect also, they categorize the organizations in different four categories based on the ESG performance and acceptability or adaptability of to the ESG aspect. So it gives a more wider view than just a framework that some parameters and reporting. That is what I thought. It is not a. It is a useful, I think.
Right. Agree.
One of my perspective is there will always be people who any standard that you want to put, right? There are people who consider standard as restricting, whereas industry has always, if you don't set it as standard, compliance will generally. Let's take the rule. There is a signal. I'm talking general terms in how we see it on the traffic lights and other places as well, right? If
Right.
there is a cop, people will be more careful. If there is no cop, people will kind of take deviations and things like that. Standards are there to kind of provide that kind of a cautionary note to people as well who need to comply with, say, standards and things like that. Uh, Standards as such in smaller scale may not be appealing to companies or individuals, but when you're looking at it from a larger scale, you want to say that you want to comply to a certain standard and things like that, it becomes a necessity. So it depends on where you sit. If you sit in large tables, you consider the importance of this. If you are a smaller fish, you think, why should I even do this? Is an overhead kind of a story. So I think both sides have their relevance, but standards are required. Otherwise, everybody will call themselves a standard, and you don't know what to compare against.
Right. Right. A process of improvement starts with the standardization. So
Yeah.
that's always there. Yes. Anyone want to add? Please, you can.
Yes,
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 Sarvesh.
yes, Tim. That's a very good approach that everyone should have the standard to, comply. But until unless it is auditable, nobody will comply. So the IWA is shared by the ISO, but it is not, it's still not auditable.
Right.
So the top management will see that, oh, okay, just you take the drive and you do, but it is not necessary, not auditable. So they will they just there's a make and I get my signature. It is just like you doing some. So no
Sarvesh, sorry, we are losing it.
disclose.
Uh, there is some
Yeah, some
intermittent
disconnect.
You're fading in and out,
disconnect.
Suresh.
Yeah, 1 minute. See.
Initially, I thought it's just because of my speakers.
Yeah, I'm saying that it should be
Yeah.
auditable.
Yes, yes, right. And as of
Uh,
now, for this IWA 48, there is no, they have clearly written that. So, whatever framework or whatever standard you are following, you will follow the same. This is just a guidance document to support that implementation. So, that is something that we can get. Yes. Anyone other who want to add your
Yeah,
views?
hi Dhananjay, Akhil this side. I just wanted to maybe add couple of things. I
Please.
haven't gone through the standard, but as a practicing professional in this field, you have this ISO 14064 standard, and then you have the GHG protocol.
Right.
And if you go through the ISO 14064, you don't generally find, at least the part one, you don't find much value add compared to the GHG protocol. The standard itself is derived from GHG protocol itself.
Right.
So sometimes I really confuse when a company actually decides to get certified under ISO
Mm.
14064. Is it just an internal pressure from the investor side, just to get it certified? The company might be already preparing their GHG report, etc., as per the GHG protocol. Then they sort of
Right.
tag back this to, prepare the ISO 14064. So in a similar line, probably this standard also will have the components that has been referred back to the already existing standards like the SASB or GRI, or all the other standards. So it's just sometimes become a sort of certification that company can obtain. That is my only worry. Like, since you have many things already existing, this
Mhm.
particular ISO 14064 or the GESG standard can add, I don't know, like where it will exactly add the value,
Mhm.
or is it just a extension or a certification that industries can display? So that is
Yeah.
my real concern, because say for example, a company like Adani, which is already publishing a very detailed ESG report, what value will this add to them? That is the support of point I am just
Right.
thinking.
Right. Right. So on this, I have an answer,
Okay,
and it's directly coming from ISO. So they had one video, launch video, and in that, what they shared for IW 48 is
okay.
maybe it's not for the compliance purpose. First thing, okay.
Mhm.
So whatever the standards that we have, so they will follow the same. Okay, the framework.
Okay,
Here it is there. Okay. Uh, uh, into current reporting landscape. So this is just to support the it's compatible with other ESG frameworks, and it's a complementary one, complementary and interoperable with existing frameworks. And this is just
Mhm.
to facilitate the implementation. First thing, and second thing, they are more focusing on in their launch video. This kind of discussion led to a conclusion that they want to focus more on small and medium scale enterprises because they understand that ESG is important for them, but maybe they will not be able to devote so many resources or so much money into,
Yeah.
let's say, ESG. So that's how this principle will help them to implement the ESG themselves. So that is something, the usefulness of this document I found there, and it's relatable.
Okay. Understood. So one more question, just a question from my side, probably to all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Say for example, a company is ISO 45000 certified, occupational health and safety. Now, when you go and see the company, sometimes the industries,
Mm-hmm.
they generally may not have the measures in place in terms of cope up with the health and safety aspect, but they are still certified.
Mm-hmm.
So ISO ESG certification can be sometimes in that case also misleading. If a company is certified, if they are not
Mm-hmm.
following things on ground, it can give a sort of an impression to an investor or the shareholders or to the public that IS means the company is doing well in terms of ESG certificate. That is where the SAR said that assurance part is very important.
Right. Agree. Agree.
Agila, I agree with you, but Dhananjay, can you
Mm-hmm.
share the stages of the this ISO, the stages, page number 31?
Okay,
Then we
sure.
can identify. Actually, the stage
Mm-hmm.
1 and 2 is the intention is a more inclusion of all the all type of organization, just beginning and starting. But we are talking about the GHG protocol or other frameworks that is in the stage 3 and stage 4. This is standard try to provide more inclusiveness. That's what I feel.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, they have, and what I found, the tables and the illustrations in this document is really helpful. And like this one, like stages, the maturity level of the organization. So stage one is the minimum standard of ESG, then towards compliance, having their own ESG, and then it's ingrained in their culture, in their DNA. The last stage.
Most of the listed company who are publishing sustainability reporting started from stage 3, I think, stage 3 and stage 4. But here, this ISO framework gives some idea for other organizations for beginning the stage 1 and stage 2 organizations.
Yeah. So, right, this sentence fits what Akhil said, right? So, ESG reporting and conformity or compliance in mechanical way with box ticking, often lacking focus, over
Correct.
engineered,
Yeah.
costly. Okay.
So do we need to prepare any report as per this standard, or is just the implementation that we have to do as an industry?
Just implementation as of now. I don't think there is any report for this.
Okay.
Yeah.
But as per the third-party verification, there is a third-party verification that we discussed last week.
Right.
Then that verifier will categorize this institution as which what is the maturity of this organization. They can, right?
Yeah. But the clarity of that is not currently, So I guess they will share
Correct.
some revised document, or they will share some guidance document maybe. So then we will get more clarity.
Sure, that assurance and conformity.
Yeah.
Below to that.
Yes.
Yeah, Annex A, yeah. Annex A, assurance and conformity assessment.
Yeah. Okay, so any other point which you found is important and we should discuss? Because I have one point. So, but before sharing that, if anybody would like to add anything, you can. Okay, all right. So, I'll just
Hey,
share my
sorry, I
point
was
with you.
speaking on mute. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, Achut, please.
Yeah, my one general question. This is about ESG principles or guidance or anything like that. So organizations that are currently following whatever methods of reporting, they continue to follow that. This provides more like a additional guidance to look at their completeness, is it?
Yes, definitely we can say.
So this is not yet a conformance standard or a compliance standard that they want to people to follow. That
No,
potentially could be coming, right?
yeah, it will come. It may come.
Okay.
This is not compliance yet.
Okay. And while I was reading this, I also found that there is there are risk-based processes, evidence-based processes.
Yeah, it is more on that risk and
Um,
opportunity. That is a internal audit aspect of yeah, that the ISO standard is mostly based on that aspect also.
okay. So I'm sorry, I don't understand that. That's why I thought I'll ask this question. What is a risk-based process versus an evidence-based process?
Maybe Sony can explain.
Risk, no, is it mentioned here in the standard, or it is
Yeah,
a
it's mentioned in this document. Hold on, I
Risk
will.
and opportunity, no?
yeah, risk and
Where?
opportunity.
It's on page 49.
Acha, okay. Evidence based, this is no. Page 49.
Report is developed 49. It says the report is developed through risk-based and evidence-based processes. 4949.
This one, right?
Oh, somewhere else. Hold on.
Okay, so page number 49 means the
No, on the
this one,
PDF
right?
it's showing page number 49.
Okay, this one, right?
This one is 37, I think. Page 37. Huh.
Yeah, risk is
Mhm.
the as for every organization, the risk that as a part of organization culture, they will identify what are the possible risk of each process. Then what is the outcome? Then that they have to manage, mitigate the risk. Like we said, a lot of process related to that risk. Then this is standard asking to integrate that risk assessment process for to the ESG part also. That's what them try to include.
Okay. So the processes here, by if I have to translate this in English, to my understanding, there's a methods or practices that they have, right?
Evidence based.
Yeah, so I think, sir, I know like what I will add here is that materiality, the term is given, right? That every organization has to undertake the materiality assessment. Now people are doing double materiality assessment. What are the financial risk and what are the environmental social risk to the community? So they have to map that. They have to identify all the high risk areas, medium risk, and low risk areas through a process called double materiality assessment. And then against each of that process, they have to have a mechanism. How are they going to replace that risk into an opportunity? It can be climate risk, it can be carbon risk, it can be security related risk, it can be anything. So company has to have a plan, short-term and long-term plan to mitigate those risks or to convert those risks into opportunities. So through the materiality assessment, they will sort of assess that. And if you see any sustainability report, the materiality map will be there and they will have a strong explanation on how are they going to manage that. I think ISO is also speaking about the same concept here. But evidence-based, I am not sure what it means. But I think risk-based is what I think what I have discussed here.
Correct, correct. Yeah, risk based, what you Akhil explained is correct, and they have to do in periodically. Some risk will
Yeah.
be top risk this year, but that may change the next year. The
Yeah.
periodic review will be there.
Yeah, so basically there is no guidance on how often a company should do the materiality assessment, but the general practice is that 2 year or 3 year gap, unless there is major shift in the process or change in the production or as such like basic changes if not there, once in 2 years or once in 3 years will suffice.
Thank you, folks.
Yeah, I guess it's somewhere written that it should be done yearly or regularly. Something is written.
I'm not sure about the ISO, but GRI standard or the other standards, if you refer it, it doesn't clearly mention that what is the periodicity. But CSRD, if you take, it says 2 or 3 year. The company shall relook into their materiality.
Write it on page number 9. It's there. Just a minute. I'll just read from that.
Then evidence-based means some data-driven factors that can be verifiable and traceable.
Yeah.
That may be the evidence-based.
Yep. The
Yeah.
proof. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, folks.
Here. Yes. So materiality impacts can occur at any time, and organizations should have processes and procedures for regularly reviewing and assessing ESG impacts to determine their significance to the organization, supply chain, and other relevant interested parties. Once identified, actions should be considered and taken as necessary. No, yearly is not given, but they're
Yeah,
saying that you should have some process and systems in place to have
yeah,
it regularly
exactly.
reviewed.
So that
Yeah.
regular word is not defined.
Right.
So it is up to the company to decide, that period through a policy or, their sustainability management system, how often they will do the materiality assessment.
Right.
Yeah, thank you. This was helpful.
Yeah. Okay. And evidence based also. I'm not sure whether I had showed you. Just a minute.
Yeah, you showed it answered my question. I think it's evidence is data driven,
Yes. 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 So these
capturing
are,
those data and validating it. Yeah.
yeah, at the start, overarching principles, they have given what is evidence based. Yes. Wonderful. So moving forward, so there is one more thing that I thought is a good outcome of this document, and which is, just a minute, I'll just show you that. So let's say if we talk about in small organization, maybe medium scale organization where they don't have as such, let's say, a very advanced or dedicated resources for the ESG to understand and implement it. But still, this can be very much helpful, which they have given in the framework for each E, S, and G. Like environmental framework, they have given the step-by-step approach how they should do it, and the same way for social and same way for governance. So I'll just read one framework, and if we think about any organization which is just beginning the ESG, right? So it's a newcomer, it's just starting this initiative for ESG. So just think about them and let's review how useful this looks. So this is environmental framework. First step would be identifying environmental risk and opportunities, like categorize environmental risk and opportunity, understand interested party concerns and needs, determine areas of environmental materiality, identify risk and opportunity, tolerance and vulnerabilities, record evidence, rationale and outcomes. So first is what exactly are the risk and opportunities. Then evaluating. Yes. Nitinji, you want to say something?
No, no, by mistake.
No problem. No problem. Yeah. So second is evaluating and assessing environmental impacts. So how to do that? Establish accurate, trustworthy, science and evidence-based approaches and action plans for risk and opportunity evaluation. Where necessary, use environmental assessment tools. Determine the materiality, significance, magnitude, and likelihood of the identified impacts. Select areas of materiality to prioritize based on reported observations or assessment findings. Develop and manage evidence, information, and data management system included transparency in uncertainties, assumptions, methodologies, and metrics. Last is identify dependencies that drive or influence environmental factors and vice versa, and also include social and governance factors. So though it's not very, I mean, how to do it not clear, but what steps need to be done. So that is, I guess, at least they have listed. The third is establishing desired outcomes and implementation strategies and program or actions. Determine and justify the baseline where we are, then benchmark against the success will be defined. Determine short, medium, and long-term target metrics and critical success factors. So how would you know that we are successful? So defining that. Use or develop analytical tools, methods, techniques to measure and monitor performance as a part of an iterative process. So it's not like we are saying that, let's say we are in 2025 and in 2030 we will achieve this target. This should be iterative and maybe shorten. So you measure, monitor, and do course correct during the implementation. Record achievement barriers and how these were overcome. Note 1 is methods used can be science-based. Such methods typically have correlation factors or an estimate of error or provide for alternative system or engineering checks and help to ensure a review of data quality and integrity. So using the science-based method. D, I guess this is the last. Yeah. The fourth is the reporting, disclosure, and communicating environmental information. Ensure outcomes in the form of claims that can be assessed, verified, and or validated using interpretable and repeatable methods. Ensure transparency and credibility are maintained by providing access to the reports and appropriate underlying evidence methodologies, etc. Correct errors, omissions, and misstatements as soon as possible and communicate corrections to all interested parties. And yeah, so these are some of the steps so for environment. So I feel this is might be useful for someone who is just starting the ESG and having a framework, and then if they ask the question how to do that, so maybe they just got the steps over here, but how to do this step or how to achieve this, so they might find a solution and a way to implement it. Yeah, and couple of tools they are giving that. There are a number of effective tools used to help identify environmental risk and opportunities, including but not limited to. First is life cycle assessment, that is understanding the entire life cycle of a product. Environmental impact assessment, EIA, water footprint, air footprint or air stack emission studies, energy, material balance, carbon footprint, biodiversity net gain, and ecological footprint. And there will be multiple. An action plan based on the principles of being focused on outcomes, evidence-based, sustainable, and resilient, provides a structured approach to the proposed and adopted implementation of environmental programs within the organization. So this is the framework and some data considerations they have given for the environment. Examples of actions that can be taken in relation to environmental considerations. So what are the action items they can follow? They have given that. Environmental KPIs, which to focus first priority or second priority, and correlating with the what are the related ISO standards which can be implemented. And for the social as well, in the same way, they have given the social framework. So in similar fashion, we can say identifying risk and opportunities, doing materiality assessment, evaluating and assessing the impacts, establishing desired outcomes, and reporting disclosure. Yeah, and same way with governance as well.
Dhananjay, I was just, when you're reading through, I was just thinking. So
Mhm.
ESG has many items, like including your value chain or, so your supply chain, everything is there. So
Right.
is the standard is also like covering their supply chain aspects as well? And when a company has to get this certification done, say for example, how far they should do? Is that
Mhm.
that question I am just getting now? Like like ESG rating may like they will assess and give you the ratings. So if a
Right.
company wants to obtain this certification on a voluntary basis, yes, of course. So,
Mhm.
but what could be that boundary they have to look at? Whether they have to do beyond their boundary or just an internal targeting and achievement only they have to do that. I doubt I got right now. I'm not sure.
So one thing is in the materiality assessment, so they have given that supply chain or the all relevant stakeholders should be involved into it. So they have mentioned
Yeah.
over there. So with that inference, we can say that the supply chain is also should be involved into this.
Okay. Yes.
But the percentage, maybe as like in BRSR, they have given that you are, let's say, 90% of the activities or let's say, market or revenue. So that should be included, and that was the cap over there, right?
Hmm.
So in that way, I don't think there is anything. But anyway, as this IWA 48 is saying, so this is not a framework or standard for ESG. You will still use the BRSR or GRI or whatever framework you are following. This is just an allied a resource to help the organization. So that's what
But one
I think.
organization will get a certification under this, right? Under ISO certified organization, that will be there, right? If you follow the things that has been discussed over here.
Yeah, that should be there.
Dhananjay, regarding that KPI factors, they have given some indicating factors and then list out KPI 1, 2, 3, 4. But when I gone through that listed factors, it may not be applicable for all the organizations in that order. Can you check that the KPI is listed in page 17 for environment, 22 for social, and 28 for governance?
Sure. Just a minute. Just a minute. The previous question, it was regarding the assessment and reports, right? Or how that will be done.
Yeah.
So it was. So they have given something for validation or verification. So
Hmm.
adopted concept in ISO. But what I think, so this will not be like
It will not
I
be
don't
like
know.
a
So whether yeah,
certification.
yeah, it will not be certification as of now, at least.
Okay.
But anyway, validation and verification they have given. So maybe this is just third party assessment or
Maybe
could
some
give into
revised
this.
standard will.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. The next question was about
That
KPI,
was
right?
KPI, how that is listed, what priority. But it is mentioned that the first sector is applicable to all the organizations, but that I could not understand. Page 17. First, go to page 17.
This one? This one, right? Environmental KPIs. You're muted if you're speaking.
Sorry.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Here they have listed. Here it is mentioned
Yeah.
that this is a general, and after that they pointed out a specific. Just go down. Then it is mentioned that for guidance, the KPI have been sorted into first priority and second priority in the top here. And the first priority indicators are intended to be applicable to small, medium, and large organizations globally. But my doubt is that the first priority it is listed that KPI 1 percentage of energy consumption from on-site renewables. Then next, normalized water consumption. My doubt is that this is listed in the order KPI 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But this may not be applicable in this order for all the organizations. But it is mentioned that it is applicable to all the organizations. That's my concern then.
Mhm.
Similarly, it is
Yeah.
they have given for social
Second
and
priority.
governance. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what I think for this, so just the wording, uh, assessing, okay. For guidance, the KPIs have been sorted into first priority and second priority. The first priority indicators are intended to be applicable to uh, small, medium, and large organizations globally. So what I think is, so this is just intended to be applicable. So it's not a like that this are applicable as it is. So you can change it based on your
Oh,
situation. So
oh,
this is
that
what
this
I
prior.
think.
Okay, this KPI will be emerged from the above mentioned general points, right? Just
Yeah.
above mentioned. Okay. Okay.
I think this is derived uh, from the lens that most of the organization will come under this first priority KPIs. Means everyone will mostly generate waste, water will be consumed, there will be energy consumption. So I think from that lens they have derived, and of course you said certain things like waste from operational aspect may not be applicable to IT company by large, but still there can be some waste, right? Like in the form of e-waste or something. So
Yeah.
I think that may be the reason why they have listed these 7 items.
Here we can make it as a general, but Dhananjay, can you go to
Mm-hmm. You're again muted.
sorry,
I
sorry.
guess you want to go to
Yeah,
social. Yeah.
social 22, page 22.
Yes. So set of KPIs in the
Yeah,
same
after
way,
that
the
it is
first priority.
here annual number of work-related incidents of discrimination, hate, and violence. Is it applicable to all the companies? This work,
Which one? Sorry.
this of KPI 1, whether it is
Mhm.
applicable to all the organizations?
Yeah, it should be. Yeah.
It should be,
So
but I think it is by and large applicable to an industry. Uh, in gender pay gap is yes, applicable to all the industries and service-based companies as well.
yeah. So how I look at, so you might have heard Pareto principle or 80-20 rule,
Oh, okay.
right?
Based on that,
So
they
so whatever are the low hanging fruits, with let's say you can achieve it. So maybe 20% of the work and 80% of the maximum chunk of output, maybe you get it from it. So first priority, I think, in that category.
okay, okay. Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's say
Mm.
such kind of incidents, gender pay gap, diverse representation is there or not. So this is a major contribution. So if all these things are there, so we can say that we cannot say for certain, but most probably, let's say if any organization, this 9 KPIs are being followed, and they do it with, let's say, not only just intent of ticking the box, but actually they want to improve and they are working on these 9 KPIs. So definitely that organization will be better.
Correct,
While
correct.
the second priority, which will take a lot of effort, like 80-20 in Pareto, right? So percentage of annual charitable contributions directed to local community and regional community, like CSR or
It's
uh,
a more
right,
advanced, yeah.
yeah, more advanced, and it might not be very easy to
Achieve.
get quantified into the benefit as well,
Correct,
right? So
correct, correct.
volunteering, this also comes under, let's say, CSR. There are many organizations do such kind of work in CSR. Yeah,
Yeah, they have given a lot of pages for this KPIs.
yeah. No, actual problem is there only. So theory is very easy. What to achieve is easy, but how exactly that to be
Correct,
done? So that's
correct.
something is always difficult for any organization. And in KPIs also, just a thought. Maybe you can add, all of you can add the inputs. So generally, means what I feel is uh, too extreme is not helpful. So let's say we are talking about KPIs and very strict monitoring, or very strict, if there is a strict monitoring for, let's say, particular KPIs. So that is not also healthy. And on the other hand, if there is no monitoring and nothing, or even we don't have clarity what is to be achieved, that is not also healthy. And the example would be, if it's not pressure, if it's not monitoring at all, then people won't have drive to achieve these kind of goals, right? So, and they won't know whether we are achieving or not, where we are moving. So first case. And in second case, where there is extreme pressure, uh, employees might, and if there are issues with the values of the organization, So these people might choose a different approach. Like instead of, they know the problem is there, but still they will hide it, because if that comes out, it will cost maybe their job, or maybe very strict action would be there, and that's how there might be a tendency of hiding it or postponing it. So do you think that this is logical? Just thought came while
I
this.
think it is 100% correct, particularly, say for example, a company has set some health and safety targets and it is linked to some of the safety person at site and their KPI. They will definitely try to not report, anything like a near miss or, some sort of that incident,
Right,
which
right.
may affect their annual performance appraisal if it is correlated or, linked. I think it's absolutely right in my opinion.
And that's where values come,
Yeah,
the
and
values of
also
the
it can
organization.
lead to, the concept of greenwashing, trying to hide certain things. When you are taken very strong, strict action and you have transparently disclosed those targets to investors and shareholders, it can lead to that as well.
Correct, correct.
Like we have many cases like this, like Volkswagen greenwashing. To pass the emission standard, uh, they had they had some unfair practices, right, for the car, and it was means Volkswagen lost a lot of faith in that activity.
Yeah, a lot of reputation also.
Yes. So should we also see the KPIs of governance as we
That
have
is in
done for this?
28, page 28.
Yes. Governance will say why you left me only. Well, I think governance is most important.
Correct. But difficult to practice.
Yeah.
Here,
Yeah.
this first one is customer privacy, but that may not be the first one for all the organizations.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think sequence is also not like a prescriptive that you only take one as this, second as this. So this is just a
Just indication.
indicator. Yeah.
Hey, I have a comment on this.
Yes,
Um,
Achut, please.
so generally, this standard that we are talking of, right, is meant for SMEs, right?
Right.
At least in principle, that's what they say. And if you're looking at all of these KPIs and the governance aspects, whether it is environmental or social causes, uh, I think there has to be some certain implicit assumption that it's a sizable organization, right? It cannot be like a 10 people, 20 people organization for which you get capture all these ratios, capture all these measurements and things like that. So from that perspective, even when they mention this reportable material data breaches or any of these ethics policy violation and all, right, by definition, many of the organizations, at least from an India perspective, they don't expect them to have an ethics policy in place if you're not a sizable or a medium, at least a medium sized company.
Correct,
So
correct.
from
Right.
that perspective, my takeaway from reading this was that these are KPIs listed in certain order, they are not by priority. So whatever
Correct.
applies to you, one can take them and see how you want to implement those. But many of them may not be even applicable to them because they may not even have an ethics policy defined. They may be doing only a certain set of things which, say for example, business continuity plan. If you ask any of the small or medium sized companies, they may or may not have a business continuity plan at all.
Yeah, they may not aware
Right.
of that.
Yeah, they may not be even aware of that. So this document helps them think in that direction, and when they grow, that's when they probably will have to think of all these aspects. So from that perspective, these are guidance uh, KPIs, and not everything need to be complied unless it becomes a standard for
Right.
SMEs.
Right.
So the other feedback I also had of this was this as much depends on adoption of this standard by regional or federal government requirements, right? For example, even in our country, BRSR states you need to do these things. Let's say if
Right.
BRSR doesn't cover this, or if BRSR doesn't get aligned to ISO, then whatever is the compliance requirement, most companies will follow that BRSR, and
Right.
ISO can
Right.
simply be a reference document.
Yes, agree.
So those are a couple of data points that I wanted to share.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah, good point.
Thanks.
Thank you.
It added clarity for us also. Thanks for adding. Yes. So final comments, final thoughts, if anybody would like to add.
I was very pleased to see this because I
Mhm.
was, as a student of ESG, I started going through ESG over the last 3-4 months, and this provides a little bit of more of a, what do you call, like it clearly calls out, it's a principles document. And like looking at all those various standards, I to be very honest, I looked up GRI and thoroughly got confused with so many sectors, so many different frameworks and things like that. But
Mhm.
this seems like a something that small and medium enterprise companies would be willing to at least look in and see what they can implement. If you just
Yeah.
jump into BRI or GRI or any other standards, it can lead you nowhere. So this is a good start.
Absolutely
Yeah.
agree with that. Actually, the ISO claimed that they are this standard is using by 10 million organization or 1 million organization, something like that. A big number.
1 million number they gave in the video where they launched this, okay, IWA 48 in Baku COP29.
Yes.
And what they said, why this is important is because ISO 9000 series and 14,000 series, for these two, there are 1 million companies who already have these systems in their place, in their organization. So that's why the possibility of maybe
Adopting.
usability of this document, yes, and adopting of this document, it's a huge, and especially the small and medium size organizations as well, looking at them as well.
Hey, is there any data point which says what is the denominator? Say, for example, they say 1 million people are following it. Out of how many?
This is internationally following compared to other GRI and all other standards. The GRI nearly 1 lakh or something. That number only. Yeah.
And even now in most of the developing nations or the global south as they call, they're still not mandatory, right? They're still voluntary. So
Yeah, but in coming days it will be mandatory starting from European Union. This ESRS they are making it mandatory from 2025.
Yeah, it's just the time. So maybe next 5-10 years would be a lot of volatile
yeah.
developing. Yeah.
If the economy won't be, if the economy is stable, that's when ESG compliance will become more fast tracked. If economy starts going up and down, then this becomes like a more like a desert, and people will ignore this in lieu of keeping their jobs, keeping their companies afloat. So I'm only hoping that all the dispensations, the new governments that came up in 2024 and now in the US and other places, they still continue to believe in all these COP agreements and things like that, so that it can get the push it requires.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
agree.
our future generations are at risk.
Yeah. And education plays vital role in that. So because why I always say that, uh, as I just showed you a quiz at the start of this video, this session. I also had a quiz related to climate change. Okay, and every day, two to four comment I get every day where people comment that there is no climate change. I don't know how, but they think that it's a provocative quiz question for them, and they with all their
Yeah,
energy, so they put their thoughts how it's not climate change, how it's propaganda, and also I still find it difficult to digest actually. So looking at what the fire incidents like in USA, I guess it's still going on,
yeah,
or
yeah. It's still on.
it's still on. So but still people don't accept it. So that is something that is difficult for me to digest. So maybe it will take some time.
Very
But
true. One of my bosses used to say this. It's if somebody is sleeping, you can wake them up. If somebody is pretending to be sleeping, you can't wake them up.
mm,
So many people who don't believe environmental changes are happening, you can't wake them up if they are so strongly believing in no change is happening.
I think
If
there
they
is
are
a
unaware, we
mm,
can educate them. If they are aware and don't want to change, you can't educate them.
yeah,
yeah.
there is a strong lobbying with the government not to implement these standards everywhere in the world.
Yeah, because it's a cost
Yes, yes,
to
yes.
begin with.
Just like Trump, na, they have the listed company in America, and there's an obligation. So they have delisted. Same with the Elon Musk. It's delisted the companies because the implication not to be done.
Yep.
Similarly, that will be done in India also. The listed company will go non-listed.
Mm,
Correct.
yeah. So all big questions, but maybe we don't have to stress so much. Whatever we can
Yeah, I
do in
think
our
we should be
limited
optimists, ESG
capacity. Yeah,
optimists.
yeah. And I always feel that there will be always things to get negative about because
Yeah,
this is one interesting thought. Uh, let's say if there are 9 good things happening and one is bad, so our maybe just the news or the way we perceive things, so we get more attention to that one which is not good somehow. So maybe we should
yeah,
focus more on good, what we can do, what good is happening, and maybe looking to it that how we can enhance our agency and the agency of the good, whatever is working.
uh, very true.
Yeah. Wonderful. So we have completed 1 hour, and I would request if anybody would like to share their inputs. If we haven't heard your voice, please, this is your last opportunity for today.
Just have a comment, Dhananjay. Thank you for
Yeah,
continue to hold the Saturday meeting despite all busy schedules. Thank you for doing it today. And ISO 48 is this standard review was a eye opener for me. Thank you for bringing this up.
wonderful.
Thank
Great.
you. Thank
Because of
you.
all of you, we conduct this actually. So many times I also feel that should we not do this? But somehow you people join, and that gives energy. So
Not only your industry, but your democracy. You will make a poll and democratic to select the subject.
but let's see means how we can make it more useful. So I'm also exploring many things, but there's a thing that it should be more participative. So that is what I think. But how to do that? That's an open question. All of you are welcome to suggest few things, and I have couple of thoughts in my mind. Like, let's say we can invite more experts into it, and if you have, let's say, any one expert you want to invite, so that would be greatly help this discussion, and that will add more value to it as well. So keeping it as a one expert, or every week we invite someone, but that will require support from all of you. Yeah.
And Dhananjay, how about the people in the group itself? I think there are more than 300 people in
Right.
this community. So
Hmm.
I'm sure that some or the other will be doing a job related to sustainability or ESG. I think their experience itself will, sort of make a difference to us. Whatever the field they are working, it will add a lot of value. I think if they can probably contribute, that would be great.
Yes.
I don't know how
Definitely.
you might
No,
know the.
definitely, but we need to start from ourselves. So
Yeah,
maybe
sure.
maybe someday Akhil will take the session, then Achyut will take, and that's how these people will come. Otherwise, they are not coming to the session itself. So that's the real question. And
Yeah.
I have also invited a couple of people, but somehow due to their time commitment, so we couldn't do it. But definitely, I'm sure that we have one session, one expert session on EHS in next couple of weeks. So that is for sure. And there are few other people also who have shared their willingness, but let's see how we can align it.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Yes. It was wonderful discussing with you all. And just one last question for all of you, maybe who have joined for today. This time is better or the 7 p.m. time is better? So what's your question? What's your answer would be?
My view would be 7 is better.
Yeah, for me also 7 is better. This today is an exception.
Yes,
Okay.
7 is better.
Okay, great then. Great. Because I don't want to put this poll in the WhatsApp group because then all people will comment that and that will get distorted. So and even those people will not join. So okay, great. So we'll connect at 7 p.m. only next week. Wonderful. So thanks everyone for your wonderful participation.
Thank,
Have a
thank.
good night and great weekend.
Yeah, good night.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Thanks. Good night, everyone.